Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. We're continuing our way through the Psalms. Oh, what a wonderful book to help us deal with our issues, our problems, our sins, those things that easily beset us and weights that keep us from serving the Lord like we should. We are reminded we can call on God in the midst of our trouble over and over and over again in the Psalms. Well, we're looking at Psalm 54. A new psalm is one of four psalms that are maskils or contemplations of David. Well, he has a psalm that he writes in the midst of his trial or trouble or difficulty, and he writes it as a word, a song of instruction for people to read later, to sing in the temple, to understand how God can reach down and help you in your time of trial. And so let's read this psalm. Now, it begins with a long title, To the Chief Musician with Stringed Instruments. That tells us immediately that this was to be sung. It had to have some instruments accompanying it. And then it tells us is a maskil of David, or a contemplation of David, which was speaking of a difficult time maybe in your life, a maskil. It meant also that it was a psalm of instruction. And he tells us now exactly when the Ziphites went and said to Saul, "Is David not hiding with us?" Now, to read the history and the story behind the psalm, you find that it was written when David was fleeing from Saul. You go back to 1 Samuel chapter 23 and 1 Samuel chapter 26. And actually, I'm not sure which one of these two times, but in both of these chapters, they tell us that the Ziphites came and told Saul that David was hiding among them. Matter of fact, you read it in two verses, almost the same thing. In verse 19 of 1 Samuel 23, then the Ziphites came and said to Saul at Gibeah, saying, "Is David not hiding with us in the strongholds in the wood?" And then if you go down to 1 Samuel chapter 26, verse 1, now the Ziphites came to Saul at Gibeah, saying, "Is David not hiding in the hill of Hachilah opposite Jeshimon?" Almost the exact same thing, but two different times. A few things have happened in between. We don't have time to talk about that. You can go back and read between these two chapters. But David was a fugitive. He was fleeing. The throne was rightfully his, but Saul was still jealously pursuing him, trying to kill him. There no doubt were people in his court that kept feeding him lies and feeding his jealousy and the fire of his jealousy, and Saul wanted David dead. There's just no doubt about it. And David was a man who wanted to please God. Matter of fact, the second time here when the Ziphites, and by the way, the Ziphites, what makes it really difficult about them, they are of the tribe of Judah. If you look to see where they lived about 20 miles as a crow flies south of Jerusalem, just maybe as if you'd have to walk, it'd be about 16 miles from Hebron. Hebron was a major place in the history of Israel with Abraham, where Abraham settled and where his family was buried. And David made actually the capital of his kingdom for his first 7 years when he did become king. So interesting things in this chapter, but let's notice what David prayed. And so David has heard that Saul is coming after him again, and he cries out, "Save me, O God, by your name, and vindicate me by your strength. Hear my prayer, O God, give ear to the words of my mouth. For strangers have risen up against me, and oppressors have sought after my life. They have not set God before them, Selah." And of course, David's talking about the strangers, the people of the Ziphites, the village there that turned him into Saul and said, "He's here, we're going to turn him over to you. Come and get him, we'll have him ready for you." And I'm telling you how it hurts when your own people of your own tribe, people of your own kindred turn against you and seek to have you destroyed only because they wanted favor in the eyes of this despot, the King Saul. And my friend, that's what happened to Jesus. One of his own friends by the name of Judas of the tribe of Judah turned against Jesus and turned and betrayed him. And that happens to us. And when we do, what do? We do what David did. Save me, O God, by your name. That's a prayer we can pray today as we go through a difficult time. Well, God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.